So Little Echo belonged to a family, and they contacted us after hearing about us from another friend because Echo was having major issues with her feet, and they were running out of options for her. So they phoned us to see if we would be interested in taking her and if we thought that we could help her. So when we got there, she was standing in the stable, and we went over and looked at her feet. And by this point, I had been trimming ponies for, I think, 2 years. And I had started to specialize in founder cases, and I had come across some that had really bad feet, and I had been able to help them and save them, which was a really big thing for me. So my first thought when I saw her was, I can help her. My second thought was, you poor baby.
The first time I met Echo, I felt really bad for her. Her feet were crazy overgrown, and she couldn't walk. So when we went to pick her up, the owner basically told us that he'd been getting a trimmer out every 4 weeks or so to trim her, but she'd be okay for a week and then be right back where she was where she'd started. So yeah, my first impression of her was just pity, I guess you could say. Felt really sorry for her and her health issues.
In Echo's case, I also felt really bad for her family because I knew that they had been trying with her. They had been getting her feet trimmed regularly. Unfortunately, the person who was trimming them hadn't been doing much to help with the founder at all. So I don't know what the situation was there, but unfortunately it hadn't been helping Echo's feet at all. So they had a halter on her, and we went to start leading her over to the truck, and she couldn't walk. Basically, she would take like one step and then stop. So essentially we had to push her over there.
To get her into the trailer, basically we put her front feet in and then lifted her bum up and got her in that way because she couldn't jump into our trailer.
She was definitely just like the sweetest little thing. You could tell immediately that her personality was adorable. Part of her issues we could immediately see were also her weight, because she couldn't move very well. Basically what we were told is that she would find a spot, in the summertime she would find a spot to lay down, eat all the grass around her, then roll over to another spot and eat the grass around her. So she was kind of like a little barrel rolling around the pasture. So her weight was a problem, and then her feet were a major issue.
When we got her home, we were worried that she wouldn't be able to make the jump out. So we set up a piece of plywood. Unfortunately, because plywood doesn't have grip, and her hooves certainly didn't have grip, she stepped on the plywood, slipped, panicked, and fell off the side, landing on her side. So it was heartbreaking to see that, because she was so scared coming off that plywood and then landing on her side, and it was really heartbreaking.
We walked her into the house, and we actually took her into our porch for her first hoof trim.
This is our new little Echo. We're gonna take her into the house and do her feet. She has a lot of trouble walking, as you can see. This is how she walks from the front. She's quite twisted up. She's a sweet little girl though, that's for sure. She just needs a little TLC.
And that was just a really interesting experience for me, being, a trimmer who focuses on founder cases. Just being able to see where the foot should be in there, because basically her feet were just big tubes of hoof material. Her heels had come around and basically were touching on the bottom. Her feet were long. They were basically like big tubes. So it was kind of a little bit like being a sculptor and having to, pick out what's going on inside of there. It was really interesting because it was like Echo knew we were helping her, and I find that a lot with these little guys is they just, for some reason, they just seem to know when they're being helped, and she did. So she stood there and she put up with a lot.
Just a testament of how quiet she is. Rhonda used her grinder on her feet, and the grinder's not quiet by any stretch of the imagination. The first time Rhonda turned it on, she jumped a little, but then it didn't bother her at all after that.
Grinding a spot for her to stand on, grinding her some heels, and I took a whole bunch of foot off and basically did as much as she could handle in one day.
When we walked her back out to introduce her to the herd, she could actually walk, and that was like we were almost in tears again, but this time from happiness.
So this is little Echo after her trim. See how much better she's walking. She's got to figure out those new feet now. Hey Echo, you gotta figure out your new feet. Yeah. Look at you trucking. We're gonna take you to meet your buddy.
When we first introduced Echo, the only other pony that we had in the front yard, along with the 4 donkeys, was Pokey. And Pokey was instantly in love with her. We have this picture of the two of them when she was introduced, and they're standing side by side with their noses touching, and it looks like a heart. And that basically sums up their relationship from the get-go. The donkeys just adored her from the get-go too. There was no chasing. They were just following her around a bit, trying to get her to pay attention to them because I think they thought she was adorable, just like we did. And yeah, she was a fun one to introduce because there was no running and chasing and discord in the herd at all.
I think she liked the fact that there was a lot of snow because it helped with cooling off her feet. That was the one other thing with her feet is they were very red, so she was very inflamed in them. So we actually started her right away on an anti-inflammatory product to help with the inflammation in her hooves. And then we went into the process of 2 things, basically helping her lose weight and also helping her feet. And so I was trimming her the first little while. I trimmed her every couple of days. And by about the 5th or 6th trim, she was actually starting to move quite well. And by midsummer, she was able to actually trot and canter a little bit. And it was very cute to see.
It's just so good to see those little minis running and bucking like that because, I mean, some of them could hardly walk when we started with them.
Look at her just trotting with her head up. Look at her go, bucking and kicking.
Well,
Trying to get her little bum off the ground.
Bucking, yeah.
Zeki again, bucking and kicking. She's like a little potato. It's Echo the baked potato bucking away.
She wants so bad to buck, but she can't get her butt off.
She was a potato when she came. She was fat, because all she could do was lay down and eat food around her and then roll over and eat some more. She couldn't move, so she couldn't lose the weight. So our vet actually put her on a thyroid medication, and we would give her it once a day, and that really helped her to reduce her weight, which taking the weight off those feet have really helped her feet too.
She then after that started having some abscess issues, which we knew were going to come once she started being able to walk on those feet, we knew she was going to have abscess issues.
With feet like that, her sole was not thick, it was not healthy, and having pressure put on her sole because she was actually walking on her feet properly caused abscessing too. So we got her little shoes, absolutely adorable, but she wears these little runners and she can move around really well now.
It was really nice for her family to be able to come and visit her and see how well she was doing, see her running around, see her wearing her little boots that she gets to wear. It was actually her family donated the money for the boots, which was really nice. And yeah, so it was so nice to be able to let them see how well she was doing, and they can come and visit her whenever they want and just see her being the sweet little Echo that she is. Echo is doing really well now. She lives in the Little's loft with some of our other special needs ponies. She is still having some abscess issues. She struggled with abscesses for most of last summer, and then this winter she's popped a couple, but it looks like we're actually finally getting ahead of it. So we still have to trim her feet about every 2 weeks, but there's no redness left in them, no inflammation, and they're actually starting to grow out a lot more decently. And she is a happy little thing. She is so sweet. Whenever you walk out of the house, she nickers at you right away, wants you to come over and pet her. Right now she's an absolute woolly mammoth and is shedding all over the place, so we've been spending a lot of time brushing her.
So this is half of her, and look how much hair's come off.
Yep. She's sure loving it.
Mm-hmm.
And there's so much more hair that can.
Yep.
It's like a never-ending.
It is the never-ending story of spring.
Yep.
We want to get her tested here in the next little while for potentially Cushing's, just based on her shedding and a few other symptoms that we think might be associated with that sort of a thing. But overall, she's doing really well. She's moving really well. It's just mainly just keeping on top of those feet and keeping on top of any abscessing and just continuing to give her the happy life that she is enjoying right now.
Her best friend is Missy and also Abby. They are two foundered cases that we took in for their families. She loves to boss them around, but she also gets bossed around because she isn't all that tough. But they hang out together. You look out and when it's midday and the sun's really nice and warm, they'll all be laying together in the hay. Yeah, I'd say that of all of the little ones she's with right now, Abby and Missy are her best friends.
We're really looking forward to the day when she can start trotting and running again. She actually did do some trotting this winter, which was really cute. And she likes to try and bump her bum up at the other ponies. She's a little chunky, so she has some trouble getting her back end off the ground, which is really funny. But she'll bump her little bum up at them when she's getting playful. But she is just the sweetest, gentlest little thing. Like her personality is so sweet. She wants attention. She wants you to snuggle her. She wants you to just even say hi to her when you come out of the house. Like she's nickering at you, wanting you to just say hi to her and stuff like that. And she's such a doll.
Oh, there's a couple of things that are most rewarding, and I think the biggest one for me is seeing their personalities come out once they're feeling good and able to actually move around. Getting them to the point where they can move around is also extremely rewarding. But then to look out and see the whole herd running and playing, and there's this little foundered pony right in the middle of it, running with them and rearing and bucking because they can. It's incredible, the feeling to see that for the first time, knowing where they came from with their feet and knowing how much pain they were in when they got here. To see that is, it brings tears to my eyes. It does.